Rain hit the metal roof of the burned shuttle like tiny hammers. The forest was dark and full of strange glowing plants, and distant animal cries echoed in the trees. Jace Ward moved quietly, his boots sinking into the mud. He had one goal: survive. His dropship had been shot down 4 hours ago. He didn't know who had fired the plasma cannon, only that his squad was gone. And he was alone on an alien world that humans were not even supposed to visit. He kept his rifle close and eyes sharp. Something felt off. Too quiet, no drones, no patrols. But something was watching him. He could feel it. Then he saw the light dot had flickered, soft and warm, between two thick trees. Jace crept closer, lowering his weapon. The light came from a small cave half hidden by vines. He stepped inside and froze. There was a woman. Not human. Her skin was silver pale with a faint glow. Her long hair shimmered like ink in moonlight. She stood inside a steaming pool of water, lit by stones glowing blue on the cave walls. She had no clothes on. Her eyes widened when she saw him. Jace turned instantly, flustered. Sorry, I didn't mean. But it was too late. The sound of a deep horn blasted through the trees outside. The alien woman rushed out of the water, grabbed a cloth, and hissed at him. You shouldn't have seen me. What have you done? I didn't know you were in there, Jay said quickly. I was just... She looked horrified. You're human. You saw me bare. That means you must marry me. Now. Or we're both dead. Jace blinked. Wait, what? She moved closer. If my people find out, they will kill you and me. According to our law, only a mate may see the female skin. No one else, especially not an outsider. That's insane, Jace muttered. She stepped in front of him. Her voice was shaking, but her eyes were serious. My name is Keela. I am daughter of the Warden Chief. You saw me. That makes you my chosen. If you refuse, my tribe will burn this forest to find me. They will tear you apart. And I will be punished as if I offered myself. Jay stared. But I'm not even from here. This is just a mistake. There are no mistakes. Not under blood law. She wrapped herself tightly in the cloth. They will find us soon. We must leave. Jace rubbed his face. This was insane. But the desperation in her eyes was real. Outside, more horns echoed. Then the crackle of boots or claws on wet leaves. He gritted his teeth. Fine, let's go. But you better start explaining everything on the way. Keela nodded once. Stay low. If they catch your scent, we won't make it far. They slipped into the trees together, disappearing just as the first group of warriors arrived near the cave, hissing orders in a language Jace didn't know. They ran for almost an hour, staying off paths and moving through thick vines and roots. Finally, Keela stopped under a large hollow tree. She slid inside and pulled him in with her. The space was tight but safe. She caught her breath. You have no idea what you've done, she whispered. My people are in the middle of preparing for war. If the council learns I bonded with a human. I didn't bond with you, Jace interrupted. Keela looked straight into his eyes. You did. The moment you saw me that way, the law binds us. That's how it works on my world, he sighed. So what happens now? You pretend to be my mate. We find a way to reach the High Tribe and ask for clemency. Or we run forever. Jace leaned his head back against the tree bark. He had come here on a recon mission. Now he was fake married to an alien princess and being hunted by glowing soldiers in a jungle full of danger. This was not part of the plan. I don't even know your full name, he muttered. She hesitated, then spoke. Keela Vaintar, third daughter of Warden Chief Locktarn of the Vian line. He nodded slowly. I'm just Jace. Jace Ward, Sergeant, Earthborn. Silence fell between them. Then she added quietly, You didn't mean to see me. I know that, but now we must act fast, because they will show no mercy. He looked out through the gap in the tree bark. Red lights were glowing in the sky above. Drones? Ships? How big is this war? He asked. Keela's face turned grim. Big enough to erase this forest. My people believe outsiders bring shame and ruin. If they find you, they'll make an inzo. Example of you in front of the whole tribe. And if I pretend to be your mate, they'll still want to test you. To see if you are worthy. Jace exhaled. Perfect. He closed his eyes for a second, then opened them again. Hope you're a good liar, Keela. She gave a faint smile. Not a liar, but I can fight. Outside, the jungle shifted again, and the hunt continued. Jace didn't sleep that night. He kept one hand on his rifle, the other gripping a branch above for balance as he sat in the hollowed tree beside Keela. She was quiet most of the night. Curled up near the edge of the shelter, her glowing eyes open and watchful dot in the early hours of the morning. Soft green mist drifted over the forest floor. It was beautiful, but Jace knew better than to trust beauty on alien planets. Mist could mean spores. Spores could mean hallucinations or worse. Keela shifted. We need to move before they send trackers. Already on it. Jace stepped. Outside, sweeping the area with his eyes. Where's this council you mentioned? The one that might let us live? Keela stood, adjusting the cloth around her. It's far. Beyond the river range. 3 suns' journey on foot. But we'll never reach it unless we make a stop first. Jace narrowed his eyes. A stop? I have a friend? She's a healer. She can help us disguise our scent and give us cover. Otherwise, the bloodhounds will track us by midday. Wonderful. Bloodhounds. That's what I needed today. They moved fast. Jace stayed alert while Keela guided him through hidden paths. Only a native could know. The forest grew denser, hotter. Strange creatures flitted through the trees, some the size of birds, some the size of small dogs, but none attacked. Yet dot around midday, they reached a place where the trees opened into a grove. A small structure stood in the middle, covered in moss and vines. It looked like it had grown from the ground itself. Keela knocked twice on a wooden beam. Nika, it's me. Nothing happened at first, then the door creaked open. A second alien woman stepped out. Her skin was a deep shade of violet, and her eyes were bright orange. She held a long blade in one hand, but dropped it as soon as she saw Keela. Keela? Spirits above, what are you doing here? And what is that with you? That is Jace, Keela said. He's my bonded mate. I need your help. Nika's eyes widened. You mated? To an off-worlder? It was an accident, Keela whispered. But I need him, and if the guards find us, they'll kill him. Nika gave Jace a long look, then finally stepped aside. Get in, you've both gone mad. Inside, the hut smelled of herbs and strange oils. Jace kept his head low while Keela explained what happened, carefully skipping some details, but Nika got the point. She sighed loudly, mixing a strange paste in a wooden bowl. You always did find trouble, Mika muttered, and now you've dragged a human into it. Very well. She smeared something green onto both of their necks and wrists. It smelled like rotting mint but gave a cold burn that sank into the skin. That will mask your scent from trackers for a while, maybe a day. Jace tried to be polite. Thanks. Nika raised an eyebrow. Don't thank me yet, human. You may not live long enough. Keela took a small bag of supplies from the wall. We'll leave right after the sun's past peak. Too much light right now. Nika stepped close to Keela and whispered, Are you sure about him? Keela didn't answer right away. Then she said, He turned his back the second he saw me. Didn't even try to look again. Nika's lips curled. Strange human. Maybe, Keela replied, but I trust him. Outside, the sky darkened slightly. The first sun dipped behind thick clouds. Then came the howl. Jace froze. He knew that sound. Not a beast. Not a drone. Something in between. Keela whispered. Scanners. Nika's voice dropped low. You need to go. Now I'll send out decoy trails. Keela grabbed Jace's hand. Come, we run east now. They darted from the hut, weaving through vines and thick roots. Nika slammed her door shut behind them. Will she be okay? Jace asked. She's smart. They won't catch her. They ran hard for over an hour. The scanner sounds grew distant but never fully vanished. When they finally stopped near a cliff's edge, Jace collapsed beside a fallen tree. This is insane, he panted. Keela sat beside him. Welcome to my world. He glanced at her. Why didn't you just turn me in? Say I attacked you? Keela looked away. Because you didn't, and because part of me thinks fate brought you here, he laughed weakly. I don't believe in fate. Neither did I, she said softly, until yesterday. He turned to look at her fully. For a moment, they just sat there, silent in the strange twilight. But peace never lasted long. In the distance, red lights moved between trees again. They weren't alone. Asterisk. The forest changed. As they traveled deeper, the trees grew taller and thinner, with glowing vines wrapped around their trunks like snakes. The light dimmed, filtered through thick clouds and rising fog. Jace kept his rifle tight against his chest, watching the trees for movement. Keela walked ahead, her bare feet somehow making no sound. Her expression had grown hard since they left Nika's hut, focused. She didn't look like a noble anymore, she looked like a survivor. How much farther? Jace asked. She answered without turning. We'll reach the river valley by nightfall. After that, we'll need to find a way across. Jace nodded. And after that? Keela paused. If we're lucky, we reach the mountains. The High Tribe lives inside the stone fortress. If they accept our bond, they may stop the others from hunting you. He raised an eyebrow. If they accept it? She finally looked at him. They may say our bond is not valid. But I only claimed it to protect you. They'll test us. Test us how? Keela didn't answer. She simply kept walking. That silence said more than words. By the time the suns began to set, they had reached the edge of a deep ravine. The river thundered far below, wild and fast, crashing between massive black stones. Jace looked around. I don't see a bridge. There isn't one, Keela said. But there's a fallen tree farther down. We used it once when we were young. I'm guessing no safety rails? She smiled faintly. No. They followed the ridge until they found it. A massive tree trunk stretched across the ravine like a narrow path of death. It was old and slick with moss, but it held. Keela stepped onto it without hesitation. Jace hesitated. Then he followed. The wind picked up halfway across. The drop below looked even worse from the center. Jace tried not to look down. One slip and it was over. Then something moved in the trees behind them. Go! Keela shouted. They both ran. Not fast meant falling, but faster than a walk. Branches cracked behind them. A low growl echoed across the ravine. They made it across just as a massive shape burst from the trees. It wasn't a man, or even fully a beast. It was a tracker. 6 legs, half mechanical, half organic, and glowing red eyes locked on Jace. It let out a metal howl and stepped onto the log. Jace raised his rifle and fired. The blast hit the creature's shoulder, sending sparks flying, but it didn't stop. It kept coming. Another shot, this time to the eye. The thing stumbled, roared, then lost balance and tumbled into the ravine, crashing against rocks before vanishing into the black water. Jace breathed out. Remind me to never do that again. Keela's hand touched his shoulder. You saved us. I just don't like metal dogs. They moved on quickly, deeper into the forest. Darkness fell fast. The temperature dropped too. Keela shivered and paused near a thick patch of moss. "We camp here tonight. It's shielded." Jace helped gather wood and activated a small spark unit. The fire was small, but enough to give warmth. Keela curled beside it, her eyes glowing softly in the night. After a while, she broke the silence. "You really didn't mean to see me, did you?" Jace looked into the fire. "No, I was just looking for shelter." "I thought the cave was empty," she nodded. "In our culture, seeing a female that way, it's sacred, dangerous, but you didn't stare. You turned around, that's why I trust you." He poked at the fire. "I didn't think I'd get fake married over it." Keela gave a tired laugh. "Neither did I." A long pause followed. Then she asked, "Do you have anyone waiting for you back home?" Jace shook his head. "No, my squad was my family. They're gone now. I'm sorry." He looked up at her. "What about you? You said you're a daughter of a chief. You must have someone picked for you." Keela's face turned distant. "I was promised to someone, but I never agreed. He's powerful and cruel. I think he's the one who ordered the scan hounds. He'll be angry when he learns I bonded to someone else." Jace frowned. "So this isn't just about honor anymore." "No," she said softly. "Now it's about power. If we fail, he will use me as a warning." Jace looked at her glowing eyes, at the strength behind her calm voice. "Then we don't fail." She blinked. "You're sure?" He gave a tired grin. "I came here to survive." "Looks like I'm surviving with you." She leaned back against the moss. "Then tomorrow, we face the Valley of the Old Kings." "That sounds horrible." "It is." And somewhere deep in the forest, a new horn echoed lower, louder. The true hunters had arrived. The Valley of the Old Kings was nothing like Jace imagined. It wasn't a battlefield or a graveyard. It was quiet. Two quiet stone statues lined the path ahead, giants, half buried in moss and twisted roots. Their faces were carved from black rock, smooth and cold. Some wore crowns, others held spears or scrolls. All stared forward toward the mountain pass beyond. Keela walked ahead of Jace with her head bowed. "This place is forbidden. We do not speak loud here. It is said the kings still listen from the shadows." Jace glanced around. "If they're listening, I hope they like us." "They don't," she said simply. They walked slowly between the statues. The trees thinned out, replaced by spires of rock and mist. Wind howled through broken stone arches. A strange cold settled over the path, colder than night, deeper than ice. It pressed into Jace's chest. He gripped his rifle tighter. Keela stopped near one of the statues, this one broken in half, its head lying sideways in the grass. "This is King Var," she whispered. "He tried to take 3 mates at once. The council punished him. Now his name is never spoken during bonding." Jace raised an eyebrow. "So you're saying your people take this whole bond thing seriously?" She nodded. "It's life and death. Our laws were written in blood. We are not a forgiving race." Jace sighed. "That's great to know. No pressure at all." Far off, a gust of wind carried a sound with it like claws dragging over stone. Keela tensed. "They followed us here. We don't have long. Can't we fight them?" "They won't come close yet. Not while we're under the gaze of the old kings. They fear this place, but once we leave it." She didn't need to finish. They pressed forward again. As they walked, Jace asked quietly, "Why were you bathing alone in that cave anyway?" Keela didn't answer at first. Then she said, "Because I wanted to feel clean before I ran." "You were going to run away?" "Yes," she looked at him. "Before you saw me, I was planning to leave my tribe forever, to vanish into the outer lands. I couldn't stand the life they chose for me." Jace understood that feeling more than she could know. "You think they'll believe our story?" he asked. "They will test us." They always test the truth with pain. Sounds pleasant. They may try to break our bond, force us apart to see if it holds. And if it doesn't, they kill me? No, she said. They kill us both. Jace looked away. Still not better. By midday, the path narrowed into a steep incline leading up toward jagged cliffs. The wind picked up again, and red dust swirled around them. Keela pointed toward a stone gate ahead half buried in the mountain wall. That's the entrance to the trial chambers. The elders wait beyond. Jace took a deep breath. All right. Let's go meet the in-laws. They stepped forward and suddenly the air shimmered. A glowing wall of energy flickered to life in front of them, cutting off the path. Then a voice boomed out, "State your names." "And your bond." Keela stood tall. "I am Keela Vantar, daughter of Lochtarn, blood of Vienne. I come with my bonded mate." Jace stepped beside her. Jace swore, human, soldier, accidentally married your princess. There was silence. Then the voice said, "You enter sacred ground, you will be tested. If your bond is false, the mountains will not protect you." The barrier vanished. Keela looked at Jace. "We have one chance." They walked through the gate together. Inside, the temperature dropped again. The walls were smooth stone, marked with glowing lines and runes. The hallway twisted downward into the heart of the mountain. Torches lit themselves as they passed. At the end of the hall was a round chamber with 7 tall thrones, each occupied by a figure draped in gray, robes and crowned in bone-metal. One stood. "You claim the bond." Keela nodded. "Yes, elder." The figure looked at Jace. "Do you accept her? Will you walk the trials with her, face shame, pain, and truth, with no promise of return?" Jace took a breath. He didn't want to lie, but he also didn't want to die. "I didn't come here looking for this, but I won't leave her alone. I accept," the elders murmured. One raised a hand, then let the trial begin. A circle of light surrounded them. The floor cracked beneath Dot and they began to sink into the darkness below. Keela reached for his hand. Jace held on tight. He had no idea what trial meant on this planet, but he was about to find out. The platform stopped with a low rumble. Darkness stretched out in every direction, broken only by lines of red and blue light that pulsed beneath the floor. The chamber below the mountain felt ancient and alive, like it had been carved, not just from stone, but from something deeper. Jace tightened his grip on Keela's hand. "This place gives me a bad feeling." Keela's voice was low. "It should. No one leaves the trial unchanged." In front of them, a tall, narrow door opened. On its own. Beyond it was a long corridor, lit by no flame, just a dull, cold glow from the walls themselves. Jace could hear a strange hum, like a low chant or whisper echoing just beneath his hearing. A voice spoke from the air itself. "The bond shall now be tested. Step forward separately. Do not look back." Keela glanced at Jace one last time, her eyes full of meaning. Then she walked into the light. Jace waited for his cue. The door stayed open, but only for a moment. Then the same voice said again, more firmly, "Do not delay." He stepped inside. The corridor shifted behind him, sealing off the path. He was alone. At first, there was only silence. Then the walls rippled, and he saw visions flashing along the stone. His old squad, laughing, training, then dying. Face twisted in pain. Each voice called his name. "You left us. You were the only one who made it." Jace's breath caught. "No, I didn't leave you. I tried, but they didn't stop." One by one, they fell into fire and shadow. The last one, his best friend, Keller, looked at him with eyes full of betrayal. "You survived because you ran." The lights dimmed. Then the corridor opened again. Keela waited on the other side, pale and trembling. Her hands were clenched. At her sides. "What did you see?" Jace asked quietly. She shook her head. Memories I buried long ago, my sister's, my first bond mark. You had a bond before? She didn't speak. Her silence was answer enough. The voice echoed again, this time louder. Your pain has been revealed. Now we test your unity. Stand back to back. They obeyed. The ground shifted beneath their feet, and pillars rose around them, forming a circle. You will be tempted. You must resist. If either of you turns, the bond breaks. Then came the heat. Sudden, powerful. Jace gritted his teeth. Flames circled them, licking at their boots. Sweat ran down his neck. He heard whispers again, but this time they weren't in English. Strange alien tones, like 1,000 voices trying to seduce, frighten, or convince him. Look at her, one voice said, sharp and sweet. You don't even know her. You don't belong here. Turn, hissed another. Turn and walk away. Let her face her fate alone. It's not your war. Jace clenched his fists. Shut up. Behind him, Keela whispered, they're trying to divide us. I figured. Hold on. The flames rose higher. The floor shook. Then a new whisper came, softer, more painful. You could go home, it said. You could live. One look, and this all ends. Jace almost moved. But then he remembered the way Keela looked at him when she thought she was going to die. Not as royalty, not as a warrior, but as someone who had no one left. He stayed still. Keela reached behind her and grabbed his hand. Together. They stood. The voices stopped. The fire vanished. And a new door opened. They stepped through it, side by side. The chamber beyond was empty, except for a single stone basin in the center. Floating above it was a glowing symbol. 2 interlocking circles, burning with soft blue light. Keela gasped. The mark of proof. Jace blinked. That's a good thing, right? She nodded. It means our bond was judged true. As they stepped forward, the light split into one symbol glowing over Jace's chest, the other settling over Keela's. It didn't burn. It felt warm, peaceful. And final. Then the voice returned one last time. You are now one in the eyes of the old kings. Let none break your bond. The room faded. They were rising again, back to the surface. When they stepped out of the lift, the council of elders waited. None spoke at first. Then the middle one rose. You have endured. Keela bowed. Thank you, elder. The figure looked at Jace. Human, you are now bound to our law, our blood. Our war. Will you serve beside her? Jace met the elders. Eyes. I already have. The elder nodded slowly. Then one of the guards stepped forward urgently. Forgive me, elders. But there is news. The warden chief marches this way. He brings fire and blades. He says his daughter has betrayed him. Keela's face hardened. He knows. The elder looked to her. Will you stand against your own blood? Keela didn't hesitate. I will. Jace took her hand. Then so will I. The final trial hadn't begun, but it was coming. Fast. Asterisk. The mountains trembled. From the high cliffs above the councils. Chambers. Jace and Keela stood and watched a line of war march toward them, glowing banners, armored beasts, and hundreds of armed soldiers with burning blades. At the front rode a tall figure in black gold armor, face hidden behind a ceremonial mask shaped like a fang-toothed beast. Keela whispered, That's my father. Jace didn't speak. The warden chief looked like he had brought the entire Eastern army with him. Below them, the council of elders prepared defenses, slow, traditional, ceremonial. They hadn't faced a real war in generations. Jace could see it clearly now. If they stood and fought here, they would be crushed. Keela turned to the elder who had judged their bond. We must leave. He won't wait for trial or words. He will burn this place. The elder hesitated. Your father is Vian blood. He would not attack sacred ground. Keela's voice was firm. He already is. Just then, fire lit the lower edge of the valley. One of the old trees protected for centuries erupted in flames. Screams echoed from below. The warden chief had launched the first strike. Jace grabbed Keela's arm. "We need to move, fast." The elder finally nodded. "Take the hidden path. Westward. It leads beyond the cliffs. If you flee now, you may live." Keela shook her head. "I won't run forever." Jace looked at her. "You're not thinking of going to him." "I am," she said quietly. "That's suicide." Keela met his eyes. "Maybe, but I have to try. He raised me. He's a proud man, but he's not without reason." Jace pointed toward the burning trees. "He's setting your people on fire." "I know," she said, "but I need to see him one last time." Jace sighed, frustrated. "Then we do it my way, carefully." Keela smiled faintly. "You have a way? Always." They descended through the old stone passage, past storage vaults and forgotten shrines. Jace carried what weapons he could find: an energy spear, a small pulse pistol, and 2 plasma charges. They stopped near a hidden ridge just outside the enemy's outer ring. Scouts moved in pairs below. The army had set up temporary camps. Fires burned high. Rituals were being prepared. At the center stood a large ceremonial tent, black with red markings. "That would be him." Keela placed her hand on Jace's chest. "You don't have to come with me." He raised an eyebrow. "Seriously? I already married you, fought through a death trial, and got marked by ancient kings. I'm seeing this through." She didn't say thank you, but her eyes softened, and that was enough. They slipped through shadows and climbed over broken stone. The warden chief's army was proud but not quiet. Too much noise, too much light. Jace used it against them. When they reached the tent, Keela inhaled deeply. "Stay here. If I scream, run." Jace stepped closer. "Not happening." She smiled again. "Then just try not to shoot anyone unless I say so." She stepped into the tent. The air inside was heavy with smoke and oil. Her father stood at the center, facing away. His armor had no scratches, no wear. It gleamed, just like the legend. He didn't turn. "You dare return to me dressed like prey?" His voice was cold. Keela stood tall. "I returned as your daughter." "You are no daughter of mine." He finally turned. His eyes were sharp beneath the mask. "You bonded with a human. You shamed Avian. I did what I had to do. You tried to marry me to a brute. He was powerful. He would have made you strong. He would have made me a prisoner." The warden chief stepped closer. "You broke tradition. I honored the truth. The council is weak. The old laws are weak. They would have you bow to love, not strength." Keela's voice rose. "Then let them. I've seen more strength in that human than in all your armies." Silence. Then his voice dropped to a growl. "Bring him in." Jace stepped into the tent calmly, rifle down, but his eyes sharp. "Hi. We've met, kind of. I'm the human." The warden chief looked him over. "You are nothing." "Maybe," Jace said, "but your daughter chose me, and I chose to protect her. No matter what your laws say." The chief stepped forward. "Will you face me in single combat? To prove your claim?" Keela stepped in front of Jace. "No, I won't allow it." But Jace put a hand on her shoulder. "It's okay." She turned sharply. "You'll die." "Maybe, but I'd rather die proving you're worth fighting for." Keela's breath caught. The chief grinned behind the mask. "So be it. At dawn we fight. If you win, she is yours. If you fall, her bond is broken, and she returns to me." Jace nodded slowly. "Dawn it is." He didn't say it aloud, but he had no plan to die. Not with Keela watching. The sun rose red over the mountains. A wide circle had been cleared at the center of the enemy camp. Soldiers stood around the edges, silent, armored, and ready to watch blood spill. High above, council observers had arrived on hover discs. None spoke. This was the ancient way. The warden chief had called for blood trial, and no one could interfere. Keela stood just beyond the circle, her hands shaking. She hated this. Jace stepped forward into the arena with no helmet, no shield, just the energy. Spear strapped to his back and the small pulse pistol at his hip. He wore light armor, scavenged from the trial chamber. It wouldn't be enough if he got hit. Across from him, the warden chief entered. He wore full ceremonial war gear, heavy black gold plates, bone-threaded gauntlets, and a great curved blade that crackled with plasma heat. He looked like a god of war. Jace didn't flinch. The elder's voice echoed across the field. Let bond and blade decide. Fight until one yields or falls. The chief moved first. Fast, too fast for a man his size. His blade swung low, then arced up. Jace ducked under the first swipe and rolled. He aimed the pulse pistol and fired twice. The shot sparked off the chief's chest armor, no damage. The chief laughed. Toy weapons? Jace tossed the pistol and unslung the spear. Wasn't aiming to kill, just testing your patience. This time, Jace attacked first, quick jabs, using the spear's reach. He knew he couldn't overpower the chief, but maybe he didn't have to. He just had to last. Make him angry. Make him sloppy. But the chief wasn't sloppy. He caught the spear shaft mid-strike and yanked it out of Jace's grip. One twist, and the spear snapped in two. Jace backed off, breathing hard. The chief came at him like a storm. One strike sliced across Jace's arm, cutting through the armor. Blood soaked the sleeve. Keela cried out from the edge, but no one moved. To help, Jace stumbled but stayed standing. The chief raised his blade. You are weak. You do not belong. Jace looked him straight in the eyes. Maybe, but your daughter is free. That scares you, doesn't it? The chief's strike came down in a roar, but Jace wasn't there. He had dropped low, grabbed a chunk of broken spear, and jammed it into the joint of the chief's leg armor. The blade missed. The chief staggered. Jace jumped up and punched him hard in the face, once, twice, 3 times. The mask cracked. The fourth punch knocked it clean off. The warden chief fell to one knee. Jace stood over him, chest heaving. Blood ran down his arm, but he didn't waver. Yield, he said. The chief looked up, his face bleeding, lips curled. In disbelief. Why don't you finish it? Because she still loves you, Jace said, and I'm not here to take your throne. Just your respect. Silence. Then slowly the chief dropped his blade. I yield. Gasps rippled across the crowd. Keela ran into the arena, her eyes wide with shock. She dropped to her knees beside Jace and grabbed his face. You did it. You're insane. But you did it. He gave a weak grin. You're welcome. She hugged him tightly. He winced. Ow, ribs, may be broken. The elder stepped forward. The lead elder raised a hand. The bond stands. Proven by fire, trial, and blood. None shall challenge it again. The soldiers lowered their weapons. The war banners fell. The warden chief stood with difficulty, supported by 2 of his guards. He looked at his daughter one last time. Keela. I was wrong to try to chain you, she nodded. You were. He gave Jace one final look. Watch her well, human. She burns brighter than most. And then he walked away. The camp began to break down. The army didn't march home, they vanished. Into the forest, melting into the mist. Later that day, high on the mountain cliffs, Keela and Jace sat side by side watching the sunset. You still think all this started by accident? Jace asked. She shook her head. No, not anymore. He looked at her. So what now? Do we go back to the High Tribe? She smiled. They'll want us to, but I'd rather travel. See the outer lands, meet other tribes. Show them that bond can be strength, not shame. He nodded. I can work with that. She leaned her head on his shoulder. We've come a long way for two people who didn't mean to meet, he chuckled. Next time I walk into a cave, I'm knocking first. She laughed softly. And under the twin moons, with the stars beginning to rise, the human and the alien girl, once strangers, now something much more, watched the galaxy turn, knowing they had changed their world forever, together.